There are no heroes, only rogues and raiders in this cursed world of Forbidden Lands. Come with me.
All right, today we're going to take a look at the Forbidden Lands. I love how Freely comes out with these core box sets. This thing is huge and full of awesome goodies inside. And this was back in 2019. They won these Innies. That's pretty cool. And then you can see here, time limit, 120 minutes. I mean, I guess that's my average game time with the guys because we don't have a whole lot of time anymore to play. But inside this box is everything you need to play Forbidden Lands. And actually, I bought Dragonbane, was my first Freely game. And then I thought Forbidden Lands looked cool as like a setting and hex crawly kind of adventure. But then it's got its own really cool mechanics, and the history inside is amazing. And you could drop this history and the hex crawly parts really in any game you want to play. You can just pretty much throw any mechanics on top of it because it's just such a great little world that they made, and the lore and even the encounters you could use and just kind of swap out the statistics pretty easily. But let's take a look inside. So first off, you get the amazing Free League presentation, these two awesome faux leather cover bound books. This is the Player's Handbook. You got the Game Master's Guide, which is awesome. You have this little Legends and Adventures kind of background generator. And you have this awesome map. So in here, there's really nothing in the world of Forbidden Lands, and it's double-sided because they want you to explore it your own. So there's supposed to be no knowledge really left, and we'll get into that in a minute. So you're really exploring this realm and trying to find out what's around because all the places have been cut off from each other for 100 or so years. So you have, as you game, and of course I'm a person who could never use the stickers in something, you're going to find these little encounters. Like you're going to find craters and you got like keeps and caverns and stuff like that. So the game wants you to use a sticker sheet. And as you find places here, as you explore with the GM, because the GM doesn't really know what's going on that much either, which I love, and you're going to find these things and post them on there. I mean, they do have a couple little interesting areas they've kind of drawn out here, but there's really nothing telling you what that is. So you can use it or you don't have to use it. And then you're just finding all these things here. And when you find it, you can put a sticker, and they do sell extra sticker sheets, so you could technically use this up if you're a crazy person and actually use the consumables that game companies give you, but I could never do that. So first up, let's take a look at the Player's Handbook. Thing is awesome, even has like a little ribbon, which is a plus. So you get the Forbidden Lands. And like I say, it just has names of the areas, but nothing like specified keeps or castles or anything like that. You get a little bit of errata in there, the differences. You get your table of contents, which is always appreciated. You get your introduction about, your typical RPG introduction. And then it just tells you about exploring the world and finding it out for yourself and kind of some ideas of what can be out there. And the area you're in is going to be called the Ravenland, and there's other supplements for this game system, and you're going to be able to explore even more. But really, this box set is really all you need. You don't need the other supplements unless you really want to go even further in these lands. It talks about the tools of the game, the dice. So this is a D6 dice pool system, just like all their Mutineer Zero, but you're going to have 3 pools of dice. We'll get into that in a minute. There's some custom cards, which I don't think are available anymore, but it does talk about that. And then we're going to get into your kin. So how to make a Player character, you're going to choose your kin, your profession, which I love professions instead of classes, because you can be a sword with a wizard. You can be a wizard with a sword, essentially, that kind of thing. You get your age, spend points on attributes, points on skills, your talents, some pride, dark secrets, some other things in here. You also notice there's awesome line art throughout because it's used. It's some assets Free League has from the old games that they've placed all throughout there. So if you really look through it, you can see all the old signatures and all the old dates and things, which I really love because I am a big fan of the classic 80s, 90s line art, black and white line art. I rather have this in my game than colors. I mean, color plates maybe, but I rather have black and white. Anyway, so you get humans. Their key attribute is empathy, and there's going to be 4 attributes, actually. There's going to be your strength, agility, wits, and empathy. So that's just telling you when you build your character. You're going to have your kin talent, which for most Free League, if you're a human, you get adaptive. You get your profession, so they can be anything. And then some names, which are always nice. Some background, so you got your elves, you got your half-elves. Elves get agility. They get inner peace as a talent. Half-elves, you got your wits, you get psychic power, which is cool. You get your dwarfs. That's a cool little dwarf there. You got your cool little halfling there. Dwarfs get strength. Halflings get empathy. You also get wolfkin that you can be, which is really cool. And also goblins and orcs. Because in this game, the goblins, the orcs, they were like slaves and servants to dwarves and elves a long time ago, and they've kind of fought against their captors, which is pretty cool. If you want to play a very strange mix, you could be an all-orc and wolfkin party. That would be really cool. And it talks about how to play an orc. And then you get your profession, so you get to be a druid. Fighter. So you have like your strength, you get your skills, might, endurance, melee, crafting, and move. Those are going to be like your startings. Get to put some points in there. You get some pride. So for example, you never back away from a fight. You can endure any injury. You never betray your friends. So if you use a pride, you get to use it once per day. If you fail a roll, you can use a D12, which is going to give you additional possibilities for successes. Even though this is a D6 dice pool, it actually uses a D8, D10, and D12 for certain instances and special gear. So there's a table in here if you don't want to use the special dice. So on a D8, for a D8, 6 and 7 are 1 success, and 8 is 2 successes, then 10 is 2, 2, and then 3, then a D12, so you're 10, you're 11, your 12 is 4 successes. So it kind of gives you, by using those, you can kind of make it very cinematic and kind of like as you're getting up from death, you take that and destroy the enemy in one hit as you have like 4 successes plus whatever other successes you normally have on your dice. So that's really cool. You get your dark secret. So your dark secret can affect how you gain experience. And you might kind of secretly act on those and gain experience. And then you got your relationships, and you got your starting gear. One of the cool things that this introduced me to was the whole thing of resource die. Yeah, I never heard about it back in the day. So on here, you're going to roll a die. So for example, there's food of D8 and water D6. So anytime you roll a 1 or a 2 on the die, it's going to step down. So from a D8, it goes to a D6. There's nothing lower than a D6 in this game. So it's going to go 12, 10, 6. So other examples, you have your hunter for agility, which I chose as my player because I like a hunter. Kind of ranger-esque or kind of man of the woods kind of thing. That's pretty cool. You got your minstrel. I don't know. I've never played a bard. Peddler, so you could be a merchant, essentially. And they all have different prides, secrets, relationships. And the nice thing, they're just kind of ideas, but you could really make your own and talk with a GM. Could be a rider. That would be cool. Maybe a Riders of Rohan type of campaign. And a rogue. Those are always cool. And they all have different attributes and different skills you're going to start with. Sorcerer. Now in here, in Forbidden Lands, it's a very sword and sorcery, very low magic. There's really no magic missile or fireball. You're more of like a, I don't know, almost a soothsayer type of wise man rather than like a blam 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 wizard, you know. It's very different. Then you got your age, and their age is going to kind of play a little bit into your attribute points that you're going to get. And so again, we get your strength, agility, wits, and empathy. Strength is your raw muscle, agility, body control, wits is your sensory perception, and empathy is like your manipulation, everything. So everything in this game, you're going to roll a skill, you're going to roll your attribute, and you're going to roll gear if you have anything. And this is the character sheet. It's very cool. I love how this thing works. So on here, it's really easy to go through. You have like your strength of 3. So if I want to use a melee, I've got a 1 die in melee. I got a strength of 3. So I'm going to take, you're going to want different colored dice, of course. So I'm going to take my 3 base dice, attribute dice, and my skills. So I'm going to roll those. Anything that comes with a success, as long as I get 1 6, I succeed. I don't really need a whole bunch. Doesn't really matter. I can push in this game, so if I fail, I can push anything that's not a 1 or a 6. And when I push, if I get any 1s on that pushed, and it's an attribute die, my red, say example, I use red usually myself. If I get a 1 on that red, I'm going to take a damage to that attribute. But I do get to increase my willpower. So that's really the only way to use your talents or spells and things like that is to use willpower. So you have to fail to use spells, which some people might not like, but it makes magic a lot harder to come by in this world. Just talks about basically the remainder portion of making a character with your coins and encumbrance there, your consumables. So I can explain your experience, just like any other free league, you're just going to get a couple points based on answering some questions or however the GM kind of feels. It's not an exact science. How to develop your character, how to increase the skills and attributes. And it goes through all the attributes that you're going to have. And it also says, like, even if you don't have a skill, like if you didn't have a skill in stealth, you can still attempt to roll stealth. You're just going to roll your attribute dice. So you have a lot less chance of succeeding, but it's still possible. Then pushing the roll, you can do group rolls. I do like group rolls because, you know, if you're exploring, you don't have to have everybody roll stealth. You can just have one person roll stealth. If they succeed, everyone succeeds, or if they fail, which is nice. You can kind of have the best person arranged in the party. Now there's some additional difficulties you can add as a GM. I didn't use it too much. Most things I just had as average, but it just subtracts how many are from the dice pool. You're going to have reduced dice that you can roll. Opposed rolls is whoever gets the most successes. Talks about gear, the artifact dice. That's awesome. Such a Conan picture right there. Goes over all the skills you're going to get. Your basic Mutineer Zero kind of skills. I think if you played Mutineer Zero, you're going to get this really easy. Just a couple differences. You get your talents. So you're going to get talents from your kin. You're going to get talents from your profession as well. And then you also have general talents that are going to help you out. Talents, for kin talents, you have like the elf talent, half-elf talent, psychic powers. So you gain these special powers being of your half-bloodness, which is pretty cool. You get the dwarf talent, true grit, halfling, hard to catch. So they're all pretty your standard fantasy trope. You get wolfkin with hunting instincts, orc, unbreakable, goblin, nocturnal, that kind of thing. You get your druid, so you're going to have different paths. So druids are not quite like clerics. They're like faith healers or like medicine men and women, that kind of thing, which I really liked playing that. That was pretty cool. You get a path of healing, path of shifting shapes, or path of sight. So you can choose one of those, and then you have different ranks in them. Fighters, you get path of enemy, path of shield, path of blade. Hunters, you get path of the arrow, the beast, the forest. Minstrels, path of the hymn, the song, the war cry. Peddlers get path of many things, path of treasure, path of words. Riders get path of companion, path of the night, path of plains. Rogues get path of the face, path of the killer, path of poison. Sorcerers get path of blood. So, yeah, if you choose path of blood, you're kind of on the not so good side. You're going to be probably, they're called Rust Brothers in this game, but it's pretty cool mythology to that. Path of death, path of signs, path of the stone. Get your talents like ambidextrous, boyer, fearless, executioner, cold-blooded, lucky, tailor. Combat and damage. So here's where we get the good stuff. So you're going to have your slow and fast actions. You get to take one of each. There's a nice list of everything. It's your basic move versus run, that kind of thing. Aiming is a fast action, gives you a bonus. Speaking, swinging weapons. So you have to kind of swing before you even hit something with a heavy weapon. So if you're using a warhammer, you're going to have to use a swing action to get it going before you can hit anything. And then slow actions, your basic hits and casting spells and things like that. Talks about range categories, fleeing, then your close combat. And in here they have a separate section for combat cards, which makes the more tactical combat, I guess, but I can't find them anywhere, and I'm good with it. I'm fine. I don't need them. Unless I find them. Then I need them. Then it just talks social conflict, that kind of thing. So weapons, again, you just have like knife, how many hands, your bonus. So you're just going to have your attribute. So I might have a strength of 3, so that's maybe 3 red die. I got a skill in melee, so I got 2 white dice, so now I got 5 dice, and then this is my bonus, so that's how many dice I get to roll. So I got 1 in knife, so like 1 die. So I get a total of 6 dice I can roll, and all I need is to get at least 1 success, typically, and able to do my damage. And then damage is just a flat damage, which I do kind of like sometimes. It makes it fast. Got a lot of cool... This does have a really cool weapons area because it shows you like the different weapon types from the different cultures, which is cool. You got damage, you got all the different types of armor, what to do when it's broken, how to fix it. And here's all the orc weapons. That's pretty cool. You got a meat cleaver. The dwarven weapons. Your typical mutant, you're 0, you're going to get conditions. So if you don't eat anything, you're going to be hungry. You're going to be thirsty. If you don't drink anything, you're going to be sleepy if you don't take a shift rest. Or you can get cold, which is cool because you're going to be outdoors a lot. So it's very outdoor-centric, this game. You got your elven weapons. You got some other things that can happen. Fear, darkness, falling, those kind of conditions that are going to happen to you. Riding animals and magic. So in this game, you're going to roll magic, but magic automatically succeeds. It's something that really takes a moment to get used to, but the more successes you get, the more impact it's going to have, which is kind of nice because, you know, you might only get like 1 willpower. So once you cast that spell, it's nice to know that it's going to go off. There are spell ranks in here, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot, kind of like Dragonbane. It's just how advanced it is. It doesn't really mean that you can't cast those other spells. So you get every spell that's kind of in the rank of the ability that you have in there. So you also have your general spells, your healing spells, shape-shifting spells, awareness spells, symbolism, which is cool. That's good. Horrify and paralyze. Those are good spells. Blinding, illusion, kind of illusionist spells. Stone, so you get like stunning attack and pillars and things like that. Wither, blood magic. There's no fireball. The most is like firewalker, stir the blood. You can cause like some blood damage. Immolate, blood channeling, blood curse. A lot of blood because this is a very demonic type of setting, so there's a lot of black magic type of things. Necromancer, you can have the hand of doom, just a floating hand. And then you got your journeys. So it's going to talk all about journeying, which is what I like. I like this hex crawl kind of adventure. Different kinds of terrain. You're going to take different quarters, and you're going to have people taking different actions. So you're going to have somebody keeping watch. So if you keep watch, or someone who's going to be leading the way. So they're all going to have like actions to do. So you're going to want someone to lead the way so that you don't get lost and nothing happens. You're going to want someone keeping watch so you can get kind of be aware before the encounter happens, before that ogre drops in on you. You have some foraging, some hunting, some fishing, making camp and resting. So if you like exploring, and this is totally the game for you, you're going to really love this and just kind of exploring all over. It talks about building a stronghold that you can do. So it takes like that OD&D a little bit and kind of squeezes some of that goodness in here too. So you can actually build your castle, which is kind of cool. So you get to do like build a dungeon, a field, a forge, a gallows, a mine, a mill. So people will be watching your stronghold as you're out adventuring, and you come back and you can gain the benefits of these things. Ramparts and things like that, shooting range. Hirelings and how to take care of them. These hirelings are not just to go in a dungeon and be killed. No, they're going to be doing things at your stronghold, which is very cool. You got different events and battles that are going to take place there. So it's a very living game, even when you're not there. All the different gear in here, which we already kind of talked about basically. And this just gives you some details on tools and things like that. You've kind of already seen the equipment, raw materials, and then it has the critical injuries. So once you hit wound and you're at 0, then you can roll on the critical injuries chart and see what happens to you. And I love these kinds of charts. It always makes it a lot of fun. And again, this character sheet, these are really good. These are really good character sheets. Very exciting. Very graphically enhanced. And you got your little experience tracker here as a sword, which is really cool. And your stronghold has its own sheet. Who is there? What do you got? And you have your index and then the map. For the second book, let's fly through this because it's almost been 30 minutes. So it gives you a little bit more information, all the background, how to run the game. It gives you a little bit of information on what to do, what things could happen at the stronghold. And it goes into all this awesome history. It's very detailed. Basically, it's a magical apocalypse happens. The whole world is cut off from each other as a blood mist engulfs everything. At the end of all these battles, as blood mist comes from the demons, and then basically everyone is just trapped in their homeland. They're actually like their hometown, really, or wherever they were, and life has gone on, and no one can venture out. As twilight happens, you just have this sense of longing for home, and if you don't return home before night, then the blood mist comes and something bad will happen to you. But now that the blood mist has more or less subsided, everybody's out and about a little bit as they kind of re-explore the regions that's been lost to time and reconnect with the towns and everything that's around. So yeah, this is a very, very detailed history. It goes on and on. It's a really good read. And then has all the gods, and the gods are just very exciting, very different, and very in the world of this world. Like, you really need to use them to really make the world feel alive as it should be. It talks about the kin, humans, and where everyone's at. But humans are humans. But the humans and elves fight, and at the end, there's this hostage. They basically trade their peoples. So like the humans trade some humans to the elves, some elves to the humans. So there's 2 different types of half-elves, which is really interesting. So the human type half-elves are called the frailer, and just kind of reflects on how they were treated. Then you have the elven spring, which is really cool. Those are the half-elves that live among the elves. So they have a very different idea of life, and they also have different stats too. Then you have the misgrown, which are like demon-human hybrid creatures. Goes over more of the different types of elves from different societies, all the different types of dwarfs from different clans, because they're all cut off, which is cool. You got ogres, you got the orcs. Like I said, they were kind of like servants and things. The elves and dwarves treated them not so great. You got your wolfkin, which are really cool. You got saurians, so you can be lizard people. You got whiners, which are little goblin-y creatures. And then you have quite possibly the most interesting take on halflings and goblins that there could be. So halfling and goblins are basically one race, and they kind of live separately. But when they have children, they go off. The females go off to have their children, and the goblin females go off to have their children at a special area, and they'll both bear children of the other clans, essentially. They're basically one race. And then just nothing's said, and like they just trade the goblin babies with the goblins trade the halfling babies with the halflings, and then no one says anything, just like, aight, and then they go back to their homes, and then everyone's like, okay. So it's very interesting, and like goblins are very hardworking, and this is almost like evil, like bizarre world halflings. Like they seem kind of jovial and everything, but they're actually kind of cruel. So it's a very, very terrible post-apocalyptic fantasy world. It's very cool. And then you have your bestiary. So you got your demons, and just like Dragonbane, you got your cool chart of monster attacks, which I love. You got the abysmal worm. You got the bloodling that's kind of out in that blood mist. You got some demons or daemons, or oh no, that one is demons. You get to kind of make your own, which is cool. You got death knights, dragons, drake worms, ints, ghosts, giants, giant squid. You have to have giant squid. Gray bear, griffins, harpies. Oh, PG-13, no titties. Hydra, insectoids. Those are cool. I've never used insectoids, but that's kind of freaky. Manicore, minotaur, night wargs, sea serpents, strangling vines, trolls, undead. Oh, those are so awesome. Very cool. Wyverns, kind of looks like a pterodactyl, but that's awesome. And then just your general run-of-the-mill animals. And then all the different kind of artifacts, which are basically your magic weapons. But in here, they're really artifacts. There should be only one, or maybe two or something, I guess, if it wasn't super powerful. But they're all supposed to mean something, which is really cool. You know, they're all supposed to be something you're looking for. You're searching these lands for some old artifact of power, which really makes it awesome. So they all have their own story to tell. Then you have your encounters. So in here, there's just a whole bunch of, instead of random encounters, I mean, it is random, but you're going to roll on the chart. And you're just going to run into something cool that's just already there. Beggars, robins, weddings. So it kind of gives you like a mini adventure hook / cool thing that can happen. Like the sleepy troll, the stowaway, death from below. So you get all these really cool, just pre-made little adventure hooks and things, which is my kind of game. So I'm a DM, GM, whatever. I want to play with you. I want to be a player with you guys. I want to experience the world as you do. So I want to kind of find out new and nifty things, and maybe as my players kind of come up with ideas, I can be like, oh yeah, that sounds good, or roll the fate mill and I don't know, yes or no, or maybe, and things like that. So I can also get to experience the wonder of what's going on as well. I'm just a referee. I want to find out what's happening too, if that makes sense. It's got a couple adventure sites in here. How to make them, just random, because everything's just gonna. You never know what's gonna happen, as your characters explore this area. So it's pretty cool how to make villages. How to make dungeons, just very quickly on the fly. How to make castles, creatures and NPCs, different treasures you can find. And it has a couple adventure sites built in. So it has the Hollows, which is basically an example of kind of like a town, what's kind of going on there, and some hooks. Then you get some NPCs and some events. There you go. And then you get Weatherstone, which is adventure site of a castle. You get some legends, what's going on here as you come up to this place, some keyed kind of locations. It's more of a hex crawl, or like a dungeon crawl, or place by place. It's more like a one place that leads into another place. So it doesn't have to be exactly in a line, but I mean, you could, flesh it out more. But if you just kind of want like point crawls, which I kind of like, you can do that. It's kind of set up for that. All the different NPCs you're going to need, all the events. And then this is a dungeon. So it gives you one of each kind of adventure site to kind of give an example of how they're kind of imagining this game to run, which is always nice. I don't know. I like adventures in my core books. Gives me kind of like an idea how they're kind of imagining it to be played. And then you have all these kind of lore bits about all the artifacts that were in here. So you can kind of scan these or hand them out to your player, and this is kind of what they're after. You have kind of this knowledge that's been passed down, this lore, and that can be kind of like, that could also be helpful for the GM. Just kind of mix them all up and just draw one and say, oh, that's the adventure we're going on. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's that book. Then finally, a quick peek at the Legends and Adventures. Now, you don't have to use this, but if you want to flesh out a character a bit more, or kind of make it a bit more interesting, or just even more random, you can just roll on here. It has a little bit more expanded adventure tools. You get or it could even be NPCs you meet up with, or things like that. So you get your kin rolls, backstories, and then what region they're going to be from. Almost like a life path, because you're going to have your childhood, whatever happened for each of them, each class, kin. And then you're going to have your profession, and you're going to randomly roll on that. You're going to have your formative events as that profession for each of them. And then how did you meet? So it kind of helps put your party together, which is nice. And then you can generate your own legend, like that was in the back of the previous book. So you have like, there was a who sought because of, traveled to, and it's located somewhere. And then what kind of terrain it is, what direction. As the legend goes, it is said that he or she was, and that there is a location there that is, but also, and then your monster generator, which is always nice, different movement, skills, traits. Again with the harpy boobs. Come on, Free League, what are you doing? There's a family-friendly channel, maybe. I don't know. Different attacks and things that the monsters can do. So it can keep your players on their toes, and you can just get rid of the book because, oh, that's a troll or that's whatever. And you can just make up your own strange creatures that exist, which works because no one knows what's out in that land. So that's what makes it so exciting. It really puts the excitement back in adventure because if you play it right with the GM too, like you don't really know either. You're just kind of throwing the things out there. You're putting players in situations. You're not writing a story for them. And you're going to find out what happens next. So yeah, I really recommend everyone pick up Forbidden Lands. It's usually a pretty good price on Amazon or Free League normally. So, and yeah, it has tons of stuff. You're really getting your money's worth, and I think it will be a great game for you and your friends. So give it a check out. I hope you have a great Rocket Punch Day. Later.